On November 8, 2010, surveillance cameras captured a couple arriving at a driving school in Puchong, Malaysia, well past midnight to retrieve something. They move through the darkened corridors and eventually settle into a room, speaking casually, almost playfully and flirtatiously, until the atmosphere abruptly shifts. When the woman attempts to leave, the man quickly stops her, gesturing sharply for her to sit back down. After a tense pause, he exits into a nearby room to search for documents. There, he removes his backpack and places it on the table, only to freeze when the door behind him slowly moves on its own. Shaken, but trying to remain composed, he continues his business, until the computer monitors suddenly flicker to life, then cut out, then power back on again. The strange occurrence is enough to send him fleeing in panic. Moments later, the room erupts. A chair drags itself across the floor. The door slams violently shut, and the lights die. Back in the other room, the woman remains unaware, until a chair behind her shifts with deliberate force. Startled, she spins around to find nothing there. Then the chair in front of her begins to move as well. Terror takes over. She attempts to escape, only for the furniture to suddenly surge toward the doorway, barricading her inside with an unseen presence. Trapped, she backs into a corner before being violently shoved to the ground by something invisible. She lies still as objects continue to hurl themselves across the room. Even items hanging on the walls begin to stir, as though the building itself is alive. What happened afterward is the subject of disturbing claims. It is said the woman was left psychologically shattered and committed to a psychiatric facility, while the man reportedly vanished without a trace. According to one Reddit user who claims to live 2 kilometers from the building, there were 2 other instances of paranormal activity happening at the location. One of those instances occurred in an office where a man was testing out a camera. He put it down to go to the bathroom, and when he returned, the camera captured something that caused the man psychological stress. The location is now strictly off-limits after hours. The footage eventually surfaced in the 2015 Malaysian horror film Bangunan, leading many to insist it was nothing more than a movie prop. Yet others maintain the opposite, that the film merely incorporated genuine CCTV footage of something far more unsettling than fiction. And they insist the recording remains real, and completely unaltered. Some think that a jinn was responsible for what happened that night. In many traditions, the jinn are described as beings of subtle energy, invisible to the human eye yet fully capable of interacting with the physical world. Said to be created from smokeless fire, they exist parallel to humanity, possessing free will and the ability to shift forms, often appearing as humans, animals, or lingering unseen in the spaces we overlook. Though typically indifferent to human affairs, they are believed to retaliate when disturbed, sometimes manipulating their surroundings, or, in rare and unsettling cases, directly harming or possessing those who cross them. In September 2023, a Reddit user shared a disturbing account involving a close friend who went for a late-night walk alone. Normally, the two would walk together, but on this night the Reddit user was unavailable, so the friend decided to take a longer route by himself. As usual, he brought his iPhone to capture the night sky and scenery for social media. However, while passing through a wooded area, he noticed something in the darkness staring back at him. In the distance, an unknown figure stood motionless among the trees, its presence betrayed only by two glowing eyes fixed directly on him. Initially, both he and the Reddit user assumed it must have been an animal, but when they increased the exposure on the photograph, the shape that emerged didn't appear human, and didn't resemble any familiar animal either. The Reddit user insisted the image wasn't altered beyond exposure enhancement. The pair eventually returned to the site at night to investigate, and they heard faint movement around them, footsteps, rustling, and the unnerving sensation of being followed. Fear overtook curiosity, and they left before discovering what was there. The Reddit user also mentioned local reports of missing persons and at least one unexplained death in the surrounding area, heightening his reluctance to push further. Many people suggested it could have been a wolf, lynx, or mountain lion, but the encounter took place in the UK, where such large predators reportedly don't exist. Others proposed a dog, fox, or barn owl. Barn owls are infamous for appearing unnervingly spectral at night and have even been linked to Mothman sightings. Skeptics argued the figure in the photo looked too large to be an owl, with eyes spaced unnaturally wide apart. Some instead believe the figure was something far stranger, possibly extraterrestrial or a so-called crawler, a pale, aggressive humanoid entity described in various sightings as gaunt, long-limbed, fast, and disturbingly intelligent. They have pupils that glow white in the dark, and they're typically found at night in wooded areas or abandoned buildings. Some folklore even claims they appear in older indigenous Algonquin legends. To this day, whatever the friend saw remains unidentified. Security footage from the Finocchieto Sanatorium in Buenos Aires, Argentina, shows a guard rising from his desk in the early hours of the morning to greet an unseen visitor. He appears to welcome the patient, speaks to her as though she is standing before him, and even offers her a wheelchair before ultimately directing her to a doctor's office. He then calmly reseals the entrance, as if nothing unusual had occurred. Hours later, when he noticed she had never left the building, the guard contacted medical staff to ask about her. Their response was chilling. No one, they insisted, had entered the hospital. When he supplied the patient's name, the staff informed him that the only person matching that identity had died the previous day. The footage quickly spread online, initially fueling claims of a genuine, supernatural encounter. However, hospital officials later attempted to rationalize the incident. They explained that the automatic door was faulty and would sometimes open on its own. According to the facility, the guard may have staged the interaction as a prank. They stated that no visitor was logged, despite the guard's apparent actions. Even so, questions remain. Reports suggest the guard notified staff on the 9th floor that a visitor was on her way, though no one ever arrived. Some accounts claim he even recorded the woman's national ID number, one that allegedly matched the identity of a recently deceased patient. Furthermore, the guard's behavior appears natural, genuine, and fluid, not like someone performing a joke. If the door was really faulty, its opening should have been unpredictable. Yet, he responds to it the moment it happens as if there really was someone that entered the hospital that night. Hospitals are often regarded as breeding grounds for restless spirits, places where countless final breaths linger in the air. Because of this, many believe the guard truly spoke with something from beyond that night,